It has weakened a little bit. It will weaken more. It is now going a little further south of the Tampa Bay area, so that will limit, at least lower the surge that we'll see in the Tampa Bay area, but that means that the Sarasota County coastline is going to get hit really hard. So let's kind of reset here. There have been no changes as of 11 o'clock to the watches and the warnings. Everybody here in the Tampa Bay area is under a hurricane warning. It's a Cat 4 with 145 mile per hour winds. That came down. It was 155 at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay, so it's weakening. The forecast does bring it in later this evening, probably 10, 11, 12 o'clock, almost towards midnight, with 125 mile per hour winds. That, too, has come down. As of the 8 o'clock, the 5 o'clock update this morning, we were thinking about 130 mile per hour winds. Now that's down to 125. And just let me tell you this. Right now, they've got 145 mile per hour winds. Most of the wind, even around that eye wall, is not 145 miles per hour. That is the highest that they could find in a small section right around the eye. And it's been on the northwest or the very southeast side. It's kind of fluctuated a little bit. But most of the wind is not quite that high, but they know they've got that high a wind, so they have to put that as the number. Okay, a little consolation if that, right? But this will stay a hurricane all the way across Florida, about 130, 140 miles or so. It will weaken, obviously, as it moves across, but there's going to be a good swath that moves across. Now, the forecast models. Obviously, there's Tampa. You can see kind of right in here, Fort Myers there, Sanibel is right down here. You've got southern parts of Sarasota. It's like Venice and Vamo is right about here. Okay, so they're in that Sarasota County area, Bradenton to Sarasota. And unfortunately, and Kim, if you're watching, Siesta Key, you know, Siesta Key to me looks like it's going to be pretty close to where this thing makes landfall. We're starting to run out, I don't want to say the usefulness of these models, but where it is now, and it's moving so quickly at this point, about what, 17 miles per hour now to the northeast, that these run every 6 hours or so, and they're not all at the same 6 hour increment, but they have to start with where it is now, and then it would take several hours for it to run. So we're going to get more model runs in, but at this point we're thinking it's definitely closer to the Sarasota County coastline. Now, another good thing is we're starting to see some of the wind shear. It's actually blowing things off to the north and the east, and so now it is not the big pinwheel with the perfect eye. You can see the eye. In fact, watch this. Watch the eye close up. See it right there? And then you see it kind of close up. That is wind shear, and that's weakening the system. Plus, yesterday, I don't know if you noticed it, it actually felt kind of good outside at times with the northeast wind. There was drier air in place, and that's getting in underneath of this. And so that's going to eat away on it just a little bit, just enough to weaken a little bit. Now, there's the Hurricane Center forecast track. You can see it right in towards Sarasota. It's still a good-looking storm, but notice the west side, there's not as much there. So what we're looking at is all of this moisture pushing off towards the east and the northeast. And I'm telling you, I know we're focused on surge and wind, but rainfall is going to be huge, and the tornado threat. We are going to get all of them. And this is going to be a big impact from all of those. All right, it's just how much is it and where will we get it? So visible satellite, we're still waiting to make sure we don't get an eye pop out there, but that's still a decent looking system. I don't see a ton of shear on it right now to weaken it, but there will be more the further north it goes. There's a lot of shear up here, and it's moving into that environment. That red box, by the way, is a tornado watch for the area. Now, this will continue to move off towards the north and the east. Again, they changed earlier some of the hurricane warnings down to Fort Pierce and a little bit further up towards Daytona Beach, north of Daytona, up towards Volusia, Ormond Beach area. But nothing has changed for us, and I don't expect any changes for us as far as warnings, watches, and warnings go. Now, arrival of the winds. So you've been watching our coverage this morning, you've seen it's been getting a little gusty out there. You've probably felt that. We're thinking now, and this has moved up around 2 o'clock this afternoon. That was later in the evening yesterday, all last night. But around 2 o'clock, we'll start to see more steady winds in the upper 30s to low 40s. We've seen gusts now to about 41 in St. Pete. Most areas in the Tampa area have seen gusts in the 30s so far today. All right, that is all going to increase as we go through the afternoon hours. Now, there is the forecast line. Again, a lot of times I don't show this because it's going to change a little bit, and this will change. But I wanted to show you this to give you an idea of why we have the surge forecasts and where we have those surge forecasts. So if the center goes in here, the wind's spinning counterclockwise, it's going to push more water right here. It's going to push a little less water here, right? So 10 to 15 foot is what's expected here in Sarasota. That number goes down to 8 to 12 here. I'll show you that coming up. What's harder to forecast is as this is moving towards us, it's pushing a bulge of water, and that's going to get into Tampa Bay. That has not as much to do with the wind, but that's a harder thing to calculate. Wind, we know how much wind it is, we know how long it's been blowing there. We can say 10 to 15 pretty easily in that location. So 8 to 12 for Tampa Bay, and it will change just a little bit. That we had 5 to 8 for Helene. Okay, we averaged about 7 foot. 8 to 12, even if we averaged 8 foot, that would be less. I mean, more than what we saw. So Fort Myers is at 8 to 12. It's the Sarasota coastline all the way down to basically with the 10 to 15. And then from basically Anna Maria Island south, or the mouth of the bay, they've gone 8 to 12 foot. All right, so let's hope that doesn't verify. If it does, it's way more than what we saw during Helene. All right, now the further north you go, look at this up towards Anclote, Tarpon Springs area, right? That has come down. Most of the winds here will start out of the southeast like we have now, go to the northeast, and then the north and northwest. So we're going to get some wind, especially later tonight, but 3 to 5 foot surge. And our friends in Crystal River, I mean, look, we were, Helene, you got the most surge, 11, 10, 11, 12 feet. Only a 2 to 4 foot surge forecast for those areas, so at least a little bit of good news there. All right, let's go through a little bit more of the timing. This is the wind field forecast from the Hurricane Center. The yellow is about 40-mile-per-hour winds, tropical storm force winds. We've got some gusts along the coast now, but watch as we go through the afternoon. This is around 2 o'clock. More of us are going to start to see it. Friends on social media, Facebook, saying, hey, what about Lakeland? Now it's going further south. No, you're still getting wind. You're still getting a ton of rain, and it's going to cause some damage, okay? It will weaken, but what's weakening is the wind right around here. When that happens, as it gets closer to shore and it starts to weaken, this wind field here gets bigger. And including actually the orange, which is about 60-mile-per-hour winds, that will stretch out just a little bit as well. And so basically that orange is going to be the core that comes right across central Florida, I-4 and southward especially. So let's go through the time. This is 2 o'clock. Right around 5 o'clock, we're going to start to see this orange get on here. That's the 55, 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Okay, so 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, from Pinellas all the way down through Port Charlotte area, but especially Manatee and Sarasota County. By 9 o'clock, now we're starting to see the hurricane force winds. Now, this is what's key for the forecast and the wobbles and the directions and where it goes, because if this were to hold, watch this forecast, from 9 through about midnight, Tampa is on the very northern end of seeing hurricane force winds. Northwest Hillsborough, maybe gusts in the 70s to near 80. But it would be more so down in southeastern Hillsborough. And this is just a forecast, and it's just kind of to show you where we go. But you get the idea. The further north you go, the less wind you will see. So Pasco, Hernando, yes, I think we'll get gusts well into the 60s and 70s. But do we get 75 and higher? It's going to be close. Certainly in this area where you see the red is where we're going to get it. This is around 4 in the morning. It is actually getting a little bit calmer at the coast. Not much, but the higher winds are moving away. Look at Polk County. Hardy County, DeSoto, mostly Hardy, but Northern Highlands, hurricane force winds, not Cat 3 at that time, it'll be a little less, but it will be pushing across Highlands County, Polk County, and out towards Cocoa Beach. So think about all the things. You've got Orlando in this area right in here. They're going to get 60s and 70s, and then it'll get pretty high as you get over towards Cocoa Beach, down to Rockledge and all those areas. Now, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, still breezy, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete, Bradenton, AMI, all these areas, but the highest winds and the more damaging winds are off to our east. Here's the one caveat of all of that, especially the hurricane force winds. Initially, those winds will be coming in from the south and southeast, and that tends to weaken the trees, break some limbs, that type of thing. Then as the backside comes through, the wind is coming around from the northwest. That's going to happen all the way over here. And so now you have weakened trees, weakened limbs, and the wind switches direction. So instead of them all leaning this way, now they blow back that way, and that's when we tend to see a lot of them go down. That's when we tend to see a lot of the power outages. That will be happening after 9 p.m. tonight. Okay, so it's going to be dark out, and you're going to start losing power. Hopefully, the kids will sleep right through the whole thing tonight. It's going to be loud, that's for sure. Now, here's our high wind impact graphic here. So 111-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible from Tampa all the way down through Sarasota County. Okay? This forecast was all the way up to northern Pasco, almost to Hernando County yesterday. So because the track has slid southward, that has come a little bit further southward as well. But Pinellas, especially southern Pinellas, our beaches, Tampa, eastern Hillsborough, Lakeland included, you have that chance for about 111 mile per hour wind gusts. Now, if you notice, the track's going here. I kind of put these hash marks here so you can see that's the area where we're going to see the highest wind impact. It does weaken a little bit, so we don't get as much wind over on the East Coast, just because the overall wind is weakening. The issue, though, as it weakens, the wind field, the lower winds, expands. And so we could get wind gusts almost to 90 miles per hour up in northern Citrus County and all the way down towards Lake Okeechobee. But certainly wind gusts into the 70s for those particular areas. So it's going to be a transitioning storm as it comes on, and that's typical. That's exactly what we expect in these types of storms. Now, let's talk rainfall. We haven't talked as much about that. This is going to be a big story with this storm. 10 to 15 inches wherever the center goes in, which is likely in the Sarasota area, and to the north. And you can see the swath. That's the direction that it's going. So that means Tampa. That means especially Pasco, Hernando, Citrus counties, the Anclote River, right? The next 24 hours with the rainfall threat is where those spots that normally flood in your neighborhood, or those roads, those intersections that flood when you get a heavy rainfall, that will be happening the next 24 hours. The next 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 days, the rivers are going to start to come up. So if you live along the Anclote River, that river is going to come up. We don't know exactly how much yet, but that's a forecast that we'll be keeping for you. All of those rivers are going to be doing that. Now, the heaviest rain is just now sitting offshore. This is light to moderate rainfall. It's been raining, guys. You know this, right? It's saturated. So now you've got saturated soils. We're in Florida. It's sandy. You got Swiss cheese limestone basically underneath of you, right? Karst topography is what we call it. So it does drain fairly well. But we've had quite a bit of rain over the last several days. We're adding this rain, then we're going to get the heaviest rain here. We'll actually get a little break after this comes through. That'll be late this afternoon into the evening hours. But that loosens the soils. Then you bring in all the wind that's around this eye here, and you're going to start knocking trees down. So light rain now will get a little bit more intense along the immediate coast, and then especially as we move our way down to the south, and this band here starts to come on shore. These cells out here are producing tornadoes and some doozies. So especially eastern Highlands County, Lake Placid and Sebring, we're going to have to watch these. We could end up here with the tornado warning for eastern Highlands County probably here in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Okay, it's going to be, I think it goes mainly east of Lake Placid and Sebring, but those cells are producing tornadoes. There's a lot of rotation in this line right here. I think there'll be less tornadic activity. I'm hoping there'll be less tornadic activity in that line than there is in these outer bands here, these cells there, but that will be our best chance to see tornadoes as we go through the afternoon. So there's our tornado potential. Because the storm is going like this, it's generally the northeast quadrant, which wouldn't go as much to the north, but it would just kind of go straight across west central Florida, including I-4 corridor. That's through today, and really that's through about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m., and then after that, we'll drop that chance off quite a bit.